Good morning and good evening, everyone, and welcome to Rain Girl TV. I'm Kimberly Williams, and I'm honored to have you with us today. In a world where headlines change by the minute and global events shape our daily lives, we're here to bring you the stories that matter the most. From the latest developments in politics and government to major world events, economic shifts, international affairs, and the issues impacting communities across the nation and around the globe, we've got you covered. Tonight, we'll break down the facts, examine the headlines, and explore the stories behind the news with clarity, insight, and perspective. Whether it's decisions being made in Washington, conflicts and diplomacy overseas, or the events shaping our future, Rain Girl TV is your destination for informed discussion and meaningful conversations. I'm Kimberly Williams, and this is Rain Girl TV, where news meets understanding and every story has a voice. So thank you again for tuning in to Rain Girl TV, the interview. My name is Kimberly Williams, host of the show. Tonight we have a very special guest. Her name is Dayna Marie Foster. She's running for governor of Florida. I'm very excited to have you here. I just want you to know that I've been following you. I'm very excited for you to jump in this race because we have to get Florida back. We the people is very important, and that we take Florida back. And I know since you started off when you were 19 years old in the public library.
Yes.
So I've done a little research on you, but I really would like for you to share with the public and my audience what got you into the political arena.
So to kind of take it back a little bit of my public service, and yes, I started at 19 years old. What that actually was is I had just come back home from college. My mom told me you can't be, living in my home without a job. And I had applied a little bit of everywhere. But I remember seeing a listing for the African American Research Library and Cultural Center here in Broward County. And I figured, well, why not? In high school, I spent my time volunteering at the main library for public service hours in order to graduate from high school. So I took that experience, applied, and I never expected for what working in public libraries to be what it was when I first entered. And presently, public libraries are truly a social good. We essentially fill the void or bridge the gaps that public policy leaves within our communities when poor policy is written. So when we're looking at, for example, providing computer classes, or whether it's for Microsoft Office services or just plain out digital literacy, so that individuals are able to log into the computer and apply for like Medicaid or Medicare, right? Being able to help the youth with homework help or preparing to take their SATs and their ACTs, bringing in services like having hotspots, which are just for internet access to our veterans when they come back home after being deployed, and serving in our armed forces. And so, with all of that being said, right, I spent about 10 years of my career within public libraries, and then I transitioned into public education. And being a teacher is also something that is not, I think, what most people expect. It's definitely not for the weak. It's definitely not like teaching in 1995, let alone 2015, right? It's so different today being an educator. And I hear it all the time from my colleagues that are veteran educators that have been in this discipline for about 20 years plus. And one thing, though, that has always remained consistent is that they always, meaning the government, expects us to do more with even less every single academic year that passes by. But the last year in particular that really opened my eyes fully to just our local government in general was after the 2024 elections. We saw that Kamala did not win. Donald Trump was our president again, which I think a lot of us thought would never happen, or at least hoped that it wouldn't. But yet, there we were, right?
Mhm.
And once we got into the top of 2025, we saw that Project 2025 was being carried out not just by the federal administration, but by the DeSantis administration as well. And within public education, we were seeing how the Department of Education passed and implementing the Phoenix Declaration, which pretty much just outlines the um, censoring of our history, and more particularly, it's going to be Black history,
Mhm.
and even kind of bringing religion into the classroom and things that are deemed normally as not acceptable within public education.
Mhm.
And so once I'm seeing that happening, then we have ICE being rolled, out into our communities.
Mhm.
In Florida, particularly, our AG Uthmeyer bullied local government into signing the 287G agreements. And so
Mhm.
what we started seeing is that students weren't coming to school because their parents were afraid to bring them to school, let alone leave the house because they didn't want to get picked up by ICE. We saw last year around Thanksgiving time how the governmental shutdown at the federal level took place, pausing the public assistance programs that were in effect, placing millions of families across this entire country, including, Florida, at risk. And our governor did nothing. And we had
Mhm.
the money.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
at this point now, what we commonly are seeing, even down to the construction of Alligator Alcatraz, it's never about whether or not we have the money. It's
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
priorities and the care and the concern that our leaders either have or don't have for we the people.
Mhm.
So it made me look towards our upcoming midterm elections to see, okay, well, DeSantis is termed out. Who can potentially take his place? We know that Byron Donalds is the MAGA endorsed
Mhm.
Republican candidate and projected Republican nominee because he's got that Trump stamp of approval. And I rolled my eyes
So,
heavily.
so I'm from Chicago
Okay.
and from the Midwest.
Hmm.
The entire situation about the books being banned and
Yeah.
things like that. Why do you feel that this administration
Mhm.
currently is so determined to get rid of the books, especially Black history books?
Yeah. We're seeing it in regards to not just even Black history, but also anything that represents a sense of identity. And so
Mm-hmm.
that is more so going to lean definitely into the LGBTQIA plus community. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason for it is A, it's just prejudice, right? But also B, when we look at what's happening with the federal administration and even the state government,
Mm-hmm.
they're coming for public libraries and public education, which is actually the foundation of my public service. But the reason why is because both of these entities preserve information and also distribute information.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Mm-hmm.
all know that an informed populace is a powerful one. So, what this is more so about is making sure that those that are at the tippy top
Mm-hmm.
stay there while they continue to step on our backs of being the everyday working class people so that they're able to enjoy whatever luxuries it is that they do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're out here struggling every day, having to make these impossible decisions about how do I pay my
Mm-hmm.
rent or my mortgage versus how do I put gas in my tank so I can
Mm-hmm.
actually get to work, right? So it's really just about making sure that the society remains as a have and have nots
Mm-hmm.
situation.
Mm-hmm.
And so just seeing that all of this is happening and there's no one that I know relates to me and my lived experiences, they're
Mm-hmm.
not going to be able to represent me. They, found this Republican that turned Democrat and, this is who they're standing behind.
Are you referring to Jolly?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
And
okay.
so,
And
it,
and we already kind of know that that's sort of like a
yeah.
false flag. Well, I personally feel like that's a
Hmm.
false flag. Um, but just to kind of take us back to the sentence of what we're gonna, because we're in
Yeah.
a mess right now here in Florida.
Yes.
So in terms of what he's done to tourism, that's a
Hmm.
big thing. We've lost money. You know, a lot of people are not willing to come to Florida right now because they're either scared of ICE
Hmm.
or they're nervous about a lot of different things that's going on here in Florida. How do you plan
Right.
to get the tourism back up here in Florida?
I truly believe that the role of governor is one of influence and power, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so just on the simple basis of having a leader who is not going to be, whether it's racist, or
Mm-hmm.
prejudice in any way, shape, or form speaks volumes and
Mm-hmm.
automatically creates this welcoming environment.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, in terms of having something that's a little bit more meaningful, that carries even more weight, is making sure that we have the legislative reformation that we desperately need to
Mm-hmm.
ensure that we have policies in place that are welcoming and inclusive to not
Mm-hmm.
just the Floridians that call Florida home, but also to the Americans across this entire country that love to come to our state, right? Because our state is like a vacation spot. It's
Well, there's
American.
there's a lot of people that
Yeah,
come here just to work. There's a lot of
that too.
employees that come here just to
Yes.
work. There's a lot of
Hmm.
tourism with the Disney World and Universal
Yes.
Studios and every,
Hmm.
the whole gamut
Right.
of that
Yes.
situation.
Hmm.
So we know that there's also something that's called climate. We have a climate problem,
Yeah.
and he's pretty much disconnected a lot of the services that we would normally get when there's
Hmm.
hurricanes, when there's, things that's going on with the weather. A lot of
Hmm.
people that had their jobs, they don't have their jobs. So how do you plan to build that structure back
Hmm.
as well? Because that affects tourism, it affects
Hmm.
everyone. So how do you feel about
Yeah.
taking on climate control?
So it starts with being able to actually say
Or
the word
not
climate
climate control,
change.
but climate change.
Right. But it starts with being able to actually say that word, right? Because you're not even able at the state level to
Mm-hmm.
put that phrase on any state agency website, which I
Mm-hmm.
think is insane because climate change is real. And so, just like how we say we deserve a governor that's not afraid to say gay, we deserve a governor that's not afraid to say climate change.
Climate
Like,
change,
and I live in Southeast
not
Florida.
climate control.
And so I live in Southeast Florida and we
Mm-hmm.
see flooding all the
All the
time,
time.
right?
Yeah.
And it's like there's no way to ignore it. Our
Mm-hmm.
thunderstorms, right, are just getting worse every single
Yes.
year. Whenever a
Yes.
hurricane does come, they're getting more catastrophic with every single one that takes place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And to remove certain services for our protection, it's
Mm-hmm.
just downright disgusting and it's evil, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, what we need to ensure is that we're changing, again, some of these laws,
Yeah.
working with the legislature, but also the Democratic Attorney General, because it really is about having reformation.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people all the time, I'm not going to be that type of governor that signs an executive order just because it sounds good and it looks pretty. And at the end of the day, it's a temporary fix. It's not one that's lasting or forever. And what I
Absolutely.
want to ensure is that we are having the deep rooted reformation that we deserve so that, yes, in 10, 20, and 50 years, our
Mm-hmm.
future generations, our legacies in terms of our family lines are living in a Florida where they are actually pursuing happiness, which is outlined in our state
Yeah. Yeah.
constitution. We're entitled to the pursuit of happiness, and they're not in this space of survival mode, which the majority of us are sitting in, as of today.
I
So,
agree. And
as it,
I just want to talk about something that's been
mhm,
occurring. We've had everything from earthquakes this year in Florida
mhm,
to horrible like rainfall. So,
mhm,
places that normally don't flood has been
yeah,
flooding. So
mhm,
that's a problem. And I
yes,
haven't one time seen DeSantis come out or even some of the other candidates and speak
yeah,
about this. So I'm really
mhm,
glad that you're willing to address it and say what
mhm,
you're willing to do. And even if that means reaching across the aisle
yeah,
to get certain things done,
mhm,
you're willing to do it. So this is a very touchy subject, but I know it's very important to you, and
mhm,
that is gun control.
yes.
I know that that's very important to you. So I like for you to talk about how you
Mhm.
plan to work on gun control here in Florida.
One of my top priorities within, I would say, the first year to 2 years, and I only say that just because I know Republicans are going to give me a lot of pushback. But one of the top priorities within that first year of my administration is to make sure that we are establishing a safe storage law across the entire state.
Mm-hmm.
So I come from Broward, and in Broward, we all knew about the tragedy at MSD.
Mm-hmm.
And in some way, shape, or form, all of our lives were touched by it, even if it was whether someone was a parent of one of the
Yes.
victims, whether
Yes.
they were a colleague of one of the instructors, whether it was a doctor who was, had a child that went to that school, we
Hmm.
all touched that tragedy in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
And it shook Broward to our core, and those ripple effects went throughout our entire state.
Yes, it is.
Innocent children. And yet, I truly believe that justice has not been served for those families because you have Republicans in Tallahassee that play tic-tac-toe on gun
Hmm.
reformation, it seems like every single legislative session. And what we're currently seeing right now is the minimum purchasing age decreased yet again because they keep trying it over and over and over, right? We
Hmm.
have this open carry that's now in effect. And at the end of the day, when you really think about it, an 18-year-old, right? There's some 18-year-olds that are still in high school with
Hmm.
open carry. It's not acceptable, right? Some of these 18-year-olds are not exactly mature. They're they're kids.
Yeah.
So when we talk about having meaningful gun reformation, it is not about stepping on anyone's Second Amendment right. It's about saving human lives. It's about creating safer communities across this entire state. Because
Hmm.
whether we're looking at issues or situations of gun violence as it relates to mass shooters, whether
Hmm.
it's domestic violence, whether it's mental health issues,
Hmm.
whether it's tragedies of even a minor getting a hold of a firearm because it was not securely locked away. We
Hmm.
have to ensure that we start from somewhere. And that first start is ensuring that we have a safe storage law in place so that firearm owners that have minors or individuals that have been deemed as red flags that reside in their home by law, their firearms must be locked within some type of safe so that it is not easily accessible because again, we're able to mitigate against some of these tragedies.
I love
That,
that. I love
yeah,
that. I love the fact that you have plans and you
yes.
have ideas and you have
Mhm.
initiatives that you're going to take in order
Yes.
to ensure that this gets taken care of.
Mhm. Yes.
Some of the other things that I know, what I've
Mhm.
been hearing on the campaign trail with
Mhm.
other candidates is
Mhm.
healthcare.
Yeah.
And how do you plan to attack healthcare? Because there's so
Mhm.
many people right now that's losing health insurance. We
Mhm.
have people here that need Medicaid, and
Mhm.
Medicaid is dropping people. We have
Mhm.
people that has the Obamacare, and I'm in
Mhm.
health insurance, so I'm licensed to actually
Mhm.
have this conversation.
Mhm.
Um, so they're losing health insurance
Mhm.
daily, and there's people in the middle of getting different procedures, and
Mhm.
they have medical conditions. How do you plan to expand Medicaid?
Mhm. So I'm actually fingers crossed, right? Because the petition is out right now. And even like with our campaign, we don't promote many things, but this is something that we definitely promote because it aligns with our initiative. And so, what we want to encourage many Floridians is to sign the petition to get Florida Medicaid expansion on our general ballots as an amendment. And as long as that amendment passes, it will go and travel to Tallahassee and make its way to the governor's desk. And then we can sign it so that we're expanding the requirements of Florida Medicaid so that we can bring in more Floridians so that they have health care coverage. And I think that it's very unfortunate and it's unacceptable that in 2026, and we're
Mhm.
supposed to be not just the leading country, in the region in which we live in, but of the
Absolutely.
entire world, right? We're the
Absolutely.
leader of the world. And yet there are other countries that are overperforming. And what I mean by that is they have an established universal healthcare system that
Hmm.
didn't just spring up yesterday or the day before that.
Hmm.
So we truly have to, again, look at ourselves as a state and as a country and say, what is up with our priorities? And why are we
Absolutely.
not able to put human lives on a higher pedestal? So whether it's gun reformation or in this case, it's about healthcare.
Yeah.
We should not be living in 2026 juggling the fact that healthcare is a luxury instead of a right for all. So I have
Absolutely.
every intention on making sure that that piece of legislation, once it hits my desk, I sign it, and then we're able to bring healthcare coverage to millions of Floridians across this entire state. We also want to make sure that we are attacking or mitigating against some of these issues that we're seeing, especially our senior communities deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Like for
Mm-hmm.
example, with rising prescription costs.
Oh my God.
We also, right,
Yes.
we're also
Yes.
seeing a lack of accessible healthcare. So we really want to invest in opportunities for telehealth. We
Mm-hmm.
also want to bring more funding to mental health just
Mm-hmm.
because we are seeing a disregard for mental health services
Mm-hmm.
across the board, right?
Across
Because
the
mental
board.
health kind of bleeds into a lot of different areas, one
Absolutely.
of them being, gun reformation. So again, it's just making sure we've got to have our priorities set. And one of the ways that we are able to do that is by having a Democratic governor who designs, so to speak, the state budget, which again is a live document, which signals to the state legislature what their priorities should be for any given legislative session for that applicable year.
I agree with you. And, a healthy state
Yeah.
means mentally, it means physically. When you're healthy, you're able to think things through.
Hmm.
Crime goes down. A lot of the things that people are not normally able to do because of their health disabilities, they
Hmm.
can start doing. So,
Yeah.
knowing that you're working on a plan
Hmm.
before you get into office
Yeah.
to tackle
Hmm.
expanding Medicaid and
Yes.
working with the insurance agencies and or companies and figuring out a way as to how we can keep the people in their
Hmm.
insurance plans, whether it be Obamacare, whether it be Medicaid or what have you, and then telehealth. There's a lot of people
Hmm.
that just can't leave their homes
Yes.
because they have some type of physical, situation as to why they
Hmm.
can't leave their homes. So
Right.
these are things that I'm hearing people say when I'm out canvassing or I'm out just, talking with people.
Hmm.
I did a woman on the street the other day, and
Hmm.
there were just I get teary eyed when I talk about this. There were just people from a church handing out food, and
Yeah.
it touched me so because here we have wealthy people and just a lot of different people living in the Orlando area, but yeah, we still
Hmm.
have a whole bunch of homeless people and people who need food. So
Hmm.
these are people that's looking up to you to get elected and work for we the people and make some changes for we the people, because every issue that you've touched on so far, it matters to a lot of people. So I really want to be able to for you to expand on something else that's really important about when you get elected. How do you plan on working with women who need to get an abortion, but
Hmm.
they can't because of some of the laws that's changed? How do you plan to tackle that issue?
Right. So I wish there was an easy fix for it, right?
Mhm.
And there is not. And I will never sugarcoat anything to the people of Florida. But just because something is difficult doesn't mean that it's impossible. It's going to take a lot of work, but
Mhm.
we will get our rights back as women as it relates to our reproductive health care. And so, with that being said, it will be, again, with one of those, with the first legislative session, there are going to be some top priorities where the legislature is going to have to figure it out and
Yes.
bring some type of solution to the forefront for the people.
Mhm.
But I also have been very vocal about that I will truly be the people's governor. And
Mhm.
what I will ensure is that we are educating the people of this state for them to know in real time what is happening in Tallahassee and
Mhm.
what their representatives that they
Mhm.
elected to do, which is
Mhm.
represent them, are not doing in terms
Mhm.
of why they have been placed in their position of power. And so, as much as they will try to take away the power of the everyday working class, as
Mhm.
governor, I will be there to put it right back into our hands and
Mhm.
making sure that they know that if this elected official is hanging or the issue, they're hanging up the issue in terms of the lack of progress of ensuring that we are putting back reproductive health care rights in the hands of the women of the state, then the people of that district can say, you know what? You're up for reelection, and guess what? You're not getting reelected. We'll put
Mhm.
someone else in office to ensure that Dana Marie Foster, the Attorney General, whoever else is in the cabinet, and the individuals that are in the state legislature have the support and the power that they need so that we are again reforming our laws. So
Mhm.
again, it's not something where you can put out an executive order and the Republican legislature comes in and they have that two-thirds majority to say, nope,
Yeah.
we're nulling and voiding her executive order.
Mhm.
This is no, we're actually going to make the deep-seated, rooted change that is needed to ensure, like I said before, 50 years down the line, we don't have to sit here and have these conversations by saying, well, my daughter has less rights than I did,
Mhm.
right? And that's kind of where we are right now. There are mothers across this entire state that are saying that their daughters have less rights than what they did
Mhm.
10, 15, and 20 years ago.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
very true. That's actually what's going on right now. So on a lighter
Unfortunately,
note,
yeah.
I would like for you
Yes,
on a lighter note, because we touched a lot of issues, and I thank you so much for
of
that.
course.
What are the loves of your life? I know you have two dogs. Can you tell us about them?
Yes. So I have two dogs. Their names are Denver and Layla. We actually adopted them from the Humane Society here in Broward County when they were like puppies. They were both like t between 8 and 10 weeks old. I think Denver might have been closer to 12 weeks old. Layla, she's like a little corgi mix, but she looks
Aw.
like a Chihuahua. And Denver, he is a black lab mix, but he looks more like a black lab. And they're like our little furry, I guess, family members. They have their distinct personalities, but they've been with us for 10 years and they're getting up there.
Oh.
But sometimes I'll have like my meetings and
Mhm.
they're virtual and Denver will kind of like come in and he'll sit down and he's like watching, from like the side of my desk and I know, maybe he does know, maybe he doesn't know what, Dana's doing, but
Mhm.
he's just always there. And then aside from my dogs, I have my family. So there's my stepdad and my mom. My stepdad has
Awesome.
been in my life since I was like, oh my
That's
God, like
beautiful.
8 or something like that. And my mom, she raised me as a single parent up until she met my stepdad and they got married. And they had two additional children, my brother and my sister. And I love them to pieces. I remember being in high school
Mhm.
and they used to say when they got to high school, they wanted to go to Fort Lauderdale High as well because Dana went to Fort Lauderdale High.
Aw.
And so they actually manifested that and it came true. And so my brother graduated in 2023. My sister graduated in 2025. One goes to FSU, the other goes to UF. So we're a house
Wow.
divided. But they're
I'm
doing so
sure.
well for themselves, and I'm so
Awesome.
proud of them. I don't have kids of my own, but my students would never ever let me say that. So they're like, "Yes, you do, Miss Foster. You've got
Yes, you
like
do.
a ton of us." But
Yeah.
and
I know
you
they're
know,
so proud of you also. They got to be
mm,
really proud of you. So,
mhm,
you're taking on an extreme, immeasurable task right now, but
thank
we
you.
do need you to get in office, and we
Mhm,
need you to, shake up some things here, because
yeah.
the damage that's been done is really
Mhm.
incredible. So, maybe one day I'll get to see you out there on the campaign trail before
Yeah.
you get elected. If not, after you get elected. And then libraries. I love libraries. Have you been to
Yeah.
the Orlando Library before?
No, but I'm going to be in Orlando tomorrow because I have the climate forum that I'm participating in. So, throughout the next couple of weeks, I'm a little bit of everywhere. At this
Yeah.
point, I'm like, I don't know if I'm coming or if I'm going. But
Yeah.
whenever I'm in a county and I have like, even if it's just a couple hours of time, I like to go at least one place.
Oh my
So, like
God.
in Jacksonville, I went to
Mhm.
Kingsley Plantation. Everyone's like, why would you go there? I said, because it's important, because they're trying
Yes.
to erase this part of history
Yeah.
from, our textbooks. So no, I'm going to absolutely go there and see this. It's incredibly painful,
Oh my
but
God.
this important piece of Florida history and ultimately American history. So I definitely will absolutely make sure I check out the Orlando
If you
Public Library
can,
as
if you
well.
have time,
Yes.
I would say
Yeah.
try to check it out because it's
Okay.
beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
when I went into the library, I was so impressed because
Oh,
they have so many different floors. It's huge. I
yeah.
mean, I go there and I have fun. They even have a place where you can get your passport. Like
Oh, I love that. Because
it's
once you
it's
go, you could go to more libraries and have, access to be able to get your passport. And now it's not the same, like in terms of like it's few and far. So I
yeah.
definitely love that
It's
for
it was a
Orlando.
great experience, but that's
Okay.
just the nerd in me. I'm
Yeah.
a museum and library type of woman,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's exciting to me. This may
Hmm.
not be exciting to some people, but hey, I love libraries.
Listen.
I can go
Yeah,
and sit in the library and just
I visited Washington, D.C. about like a year or so ago, and I went to the Museum of like Natural Science and the whole section with like the dinosaurs. It was a wrap. I went
amazing.
with my cousin,
Oh
and
wow.
I don't think he even knew like that side of me. I actually love like paleontology. I
Mhm.
mean, not like I know everything like the back of my
That, but
hand, but I just think that it's so fascinating, that part of history/science. Um, so yeah,
well,
totally
I
get the
want to
museum
thank
thing.
you so much for coming on to the
Of
interview
course. Yeah.
to discuss your campaign run and what
Thank you.
changes you plan to make ahead here.
Thank you.
And before we go today, is there
Mhm.
any last thing you would like to say to the viewers that's watching the show,
Yeah.
other than
So
vote for Dayna Marie Foster?
I was gonna say, we're igniting the blue flame, and I would love to humbly earn the votes of the many Floridians who call Florida home. But I will leave everyone with this. It has been 30 years, over 30 years, since we have seen a Democratic governor, let alone Democratic leadership at the state level within our home.
Mhm.
And what we really have to grapple with is asking ourselves, if we continue to run the same play card, will we actually see a different outcome? We tried it the first time with Charlie Crist. He lost by 65,000 votes. We tried it a second time with Charlie Crist. He lost by 1.5 million votes. We don't want to know what's going to happen a third time. What we want is to ensure that this midterm election, that we are nominating a true blue Democrat that can go toe to toe with the Republican nominee. And I tell people all the time that hope is on the ballot this summer. She's back
Absolutely.
better than ever. And this is a hope that we saw in 2018, a hope that we've been longing for since 2008 and 2012. And so we have this real opportunity to not just have this true blue Democrat, but to redefine Floridian politics and make sure that our government is truly working for us.
So there
So
you
please,
guys.
yes, so
You
please
heard it
follow us
there.
on social media, Foster for
Yes.
Florida. Our website is fosterforflorida.com. Sign up as a volunteer, donate if you can. The merch is dropping as we speak. So the yard signs will be available for purchase very, very soon.
Great. Thank you so much. So
Thank
thank you
you.
everyone for tuning in to another episode of the interview. I hope you've enjoyed Dayna Marie Foster. We look forward to you guys getting out on August 18th and voting for her. Have a great day.